Hey, hey, such a good dog. This is more of a long form thought exercise. Let's talk about conservatism and convincing people to change their political views and all of those together. I didn't really write a script for this. I kind of just there is a problem in politics, but also just the world, where people refuse to acknowledge the other side's good points, even if you vehemently disagree with the conclusions that they're drawing. And I would argue it's perhaps even more important to acknowledge these fundamental truths in situations where you really, really disagree with people. I think it illustrates an important point and an important blind spot coming from the left towards people on the right and towards these various alt-right internet movements. For a variety of reasons, the left has trouble effectively combating the worldview, convincing individual people to change their mind is like a blind spot that I'm seeing a lot. It basically comes down to this. The essence of conservative thinking is valid. I think we've arrived at a place where people are not willing or able to acknowledge fundamental, like very, very baseline, essential truths of conservatism that give rise to wrong conclusions. And so what happens, on its surface, originalism sounds good if you don't examine it more. And I think it's because it has one of these essential truths. And one of the essentialisms, I think, of originalism would be we shouldn't write off the past. We should learn from the past. The past should not automatically be thrown away and disregarded. That's true. That's a good thing to keep in mind always. You should consider the past. But here's where it gets turned to something perverse, because people who heavily champion originalism have certain other goals. They bend originalism. They take this core essentialism of it's good to learn from the past. It's good to respect the past. The past should not be automatically thrown out. Gets turned into the opinions of people who wrote a piece of paper 200 years ago are more important than what everyone today wants, or like even what most people today want. They take that essential truth and they build on it their own wrong thinking, and they reach a conclusion like it's liberal and activist to rule in a way that reflects the present day instead of blindly following what people 200 years wrote when they obviously can't see the future. It mythologizes the founding fathers. It makes them superhuman, like all these problems. A ton of conservative beliefs and ideas like this function the same way. They start with a correct little truth at the bottom, and then they build on things. And everything that's built on top of this foundation is really the part that people on the left would disagree with. All this extra stuff. It's not this foundational part. But for various reasons, people on the left, they don't feel comfortable conceding even a single point to people that they deem as fascists or Nazis, or we'll get into that later. So there's like not wanting to concede an inch. There's also the pride. People, when they get into arguments, they're too prideful to concede this. And then some people honestly can't draw that distinction between the universal truth that is the ground that the conservative ideology is planted in and the conservative ideology itself. And the problem becomes, if you don't acknowledge that part, you will not have credibility with the people you're talking to. You will be left worse equipped to win. What am I saying? I wanted to find another thing about conservatism, but the topic's kind of boring and done to death a million times. So let's talk about incels. I think there's a lot that can be learned from this area of the internet. I don't know. I'm going to get myself in trouble. I don't want to get myself in trouble. But here's the thing. I used to spend a lot of time deep diving on the incel subreddit because I had a friend who recommended it to me for laughs. And the thing is, every time I go into a dark, scary place like that, incel subreddit, the RedPill subreddit, 4chan, stuff like that, I don't want to say get sucked in, because I don't get sucked in, but I do always go, I look around, and what normally tends to happen, I identify those foundational truths. It's like, what is this actually built on? And a lot of times, these are the things people will tell stories of. I got really hooked on the red pill or like the incel subreddit. It's always these fundamental truths, entry level things that grab them. And those are the things that grab me in a different way. They grab me intellectually because it's like, okay, the red pill, working out is good. Doing things that make you feel confident is good. Girls like confident guys. That's like a basic truth. It turns into a problem when you say girls like confident guys so much that you should like not ask for consent and you should just escalate and like grab her arm. Stuff like that. Same thing with incel culture. If you don't acknowledge these fundamental truths that are causing the incel thing to become a thing, you're never going to have credibility with them, and you're never going to convince the middle road incel people who are not that far gone. You're never going to convince them of anything. And like, what are the essential truths of like inceldom? Life is super appearance based. Life is unfairly appearance based. Being a short guy is an inherent disadvantage because of the ways that people react to that and judge it. That's the thing that leapt out at me about the incel subreddit. The pain at the injustice that is valid. I have known really, really short guys, really smart, really nice, super good looking. If they were 6 foot tall, they could be a model, but they're like 5'2". I have heard girls remark, it sucks, but like I could never date someone that tall. Just wouldn't feel safe dating someone that tall. I need someone visually taller than me. I want someone who's able to pick me up. All these things that are unfair. Like, it's unfair that we live in a world where there is a huge genetic lottery at birth. Generally, just birth has all these circumstances attached to it, and you don't get to control that, and your life is full of people reacting to these things that are outside of your control. That's true. I give it to them because it's true. I don't want to be dishonest, and I want to have credibility with this person that I'm talking to, because otherwise, why talk to them? Why talk to them? And the problem becomes, obviously, again, I am acknowledging all of these things without agreeing with the whole ideology that comes out of it. I can do that. You can do that. It is allowed to do that. Just because you're scared of unintelligent reactionary people intentionally misconstruing what you say to paint you a certain way does not mean that you should not be honest, because the greatest tool we have to help each other is radical honesty. We, the proletariat. Look at my proletariat lifestyle. Okay. I don't know if I've gotten the point across, but obviously the problem with like the incel thing is it's taken too far. Same thing with the red pill. It's not just life is unfair, it's women are at fault because they don't voluntarily date me to overcome the injustice of the thing. The government should like militantly distribute waifus to everyone. People should develop the ability to essentialize things, to really get an understanding of why people believe the things they believe and why those ideas are attractive. Because again, I see a lot of, I don't understand how anyone could vote for XYZ, support XYZ. I don't get those people along those lines. I don't get those people. Not all of that is like a genuine I don't get. Some of it is frustration, some of it's venting, some of it's looking for internet points, some of it's dunking on other people. But I think there is genuinely some subset of people who ask that question who genuinely do not understand. And I think it's a good tool, taking an ideology, boiling it down to the root of where it comes from, and checking to see if that root is a valid thing that you need to address when you're talking about that subject, especially with someone that you're trying to convince to not believe that thing anymore. You only need to convince that middle thing of like flexible people that shouldn't be written off. I know those people exist because I am one of those people. I have notes. People I talk to, at least, have almost given up hope on the ability to change minds. There's never any room given to the idea that like, maybe we can win more people to our side. Maybe we could convince people. I think that's totally worth it. And let me be clear. I'm not saying everyone can be saved. Everyone can be saved. I'm saying there are always people who can be saved. I would never stake the future of anything on my ability to convince Donald Trump specifically of something. But I'm reasonably confident about the ability to educate someone who's kind of on the fence. Do we honestly think that there is no way to have won over those people? Really? This one's blank. Oh my god. Can someone be my editing slave, but also do it exactly the way that I want 100% of the time? Please?